Mataji. Feel so blessed to start this Bhagavatam with you. Thank you so much, Mataji.
Yes, thank you, Mataji. Thank you.
Feel extremely blessed to start this great.
All right. Yeah, so let me just say that, see this Srimad Bhagavatam, talking about in this group, devotees who have studied Bhagavad Gita, but there are many others who have asked. So it's going on Facebook, and Facebook will allow it for 1 month only, 30 days, and then they are deleting their videos. So, meaning that many others can listen, but I required a group who, devotees who have actually read Bhagavad Gita, because we can go deeper. It's much easier, to go deeper. Then if I will have questions, they will ask me, basic things. Then I won't be able to move, because this is a higher study. So that's why I was insisting that whoever is in this group must have studied Bhagavad Gita, because we are continuing from chapter 18 of Bhagavad Gita. And we are coming now to the next level, which is Srimad Bhagavatam. So we will take quite some time. This, I guess, I don't know which book you have. I can't even left it. It's heavy, right? This Bhagavatam. Actually, it was 3 volumes. A 3-volume, this first canto. Srila Prabhupada, when he translated it. How many of you have read Prabhupada Lilamrita? Right, so that would be the first thing I would say. Please read Prabhupada Lilamrita, right? Then you will appreciate this first canto so much. So Prabhupada, with what difficulty Prabhupada printed this first volume of this first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. He did volume 1, then volume 2, then volume 3. And these are the 3 books that Prabhupada took with him to go to the West. And he preached on the basis of this first canto. And in this canto is very heavy. The purports are, I'm saying, very long and in-depth. So Srila Prabhupada didn't know whether he will have time to translate the entire Bhagavatam. So in this first canto, you could say, whatever he wanted us to learn, he has put in this first canto. So therefore, it's very important. You could say that you will get in this canto the entire Srimad Bhagavatam, as much as Prabhupada could put in. That is the first canto. And then Srila Prabhupada, see, I don't know how to use this computer technology, I'm actually a whiteboard person. And I teach, I like to have my whiteboard, I like to write. And I feel very much, crippled being online. And it's a lot of philosophy. So I can only do my best. And if you ask me, find, I can say there's a whiteboard somewhere there is a whiteboard and this, the tools, right? There's a whiteboard and then you have to write something. And I'm not able to do it. So therefore, you will have to be extremely attentive. Meaning your ears, okay? Your ears will have to be 100% open. If you're distracted, you won't be able to learn. Because the visual will not be there. Therefore, you are only going to hear Shravanam. All right? So therefore, your pen, your paper should be with you. And I'm not going to do an overview. It's going to be a line by line reading. A lot of it is going to be reading, right? So questions, if you have questions, you can ask. even in between, because I can't wait till the end. It's not a lecture. No, I'm not doing a lecture. We are reading Prabhupada's purpose, writings, as it is. So if there are any questions, then you'll ask. So it will take us a number of years. I have given in that registration form, I expect 3 volumes of the first canto. May take us minimum 2.5 years, because it's once a week and 1 hour only, and also 30 lessons, because we move, we go different places. I mean, we go usually Vrindavan, Kartik, so then there's time off. So it's like 9 months, basically. Right. So let's start. So I will start from reading the very first page, and we'll take turns in reading. So we'll have to be very patient. Again, I'm saying, all ears, pen and paper, and well, I don't know whether you do it with a pencil. Maybe you can just mark in your book. That's what I have done. And I opened this Bhagavata myself. Throughout the main points I have written, because I have taught this. I have already taught. We are now on Canto 5. So I'm starting all the way again with Canto 1. So I'm seeing everywhere I have written some notes. So we'll take turns to read, and whenever I find something, important, everything, the whole thing is important, but Srila Bhakti Siddhanta, on text 1, only the first text of Srimad Bhagavatam, he spent 3 months discussing only text 1. So you can imagine how much is in this Srimad Bhagavatam. So, all right, I'll start the reading and then we'll take turns. So I'm on the foreword. So this foreword is common to all the Bhagavatam cantos, each canto. And this is a very famous verse from Srimad Bhagavatam itself, Canto 1, Chapter 3, text 43. So this foreword is written by, preface. Preface is written by who?
Srila Prabhupada.
Srila Prabhupada. Okay, that's his signature there. Preface. The purpose of this Srimad Bhagavatam, Prabhupada has given preface. So we must know the present need of human society. Okay, so that's addressing us, right? The present need of human society. And what is that need? Oh, just see, Prabhupada wrote this Bhagavatam, oh God, I don't remember which year, in the 50s or 60s, right? And what Prabhupada is saying, human society is no longer bounded by geographical limits, all right? No geographical limits to particular countries or communities. Human society is broader than in the Middle Ages. And the world tendencies towards one state or one human society. The ideas of spiritual communism, according to Srimad Bhagavatam, are based more or less on the oneness of the entire human society, nay, of the entire energy of living beings. Prabhupada is speaking of spiritual communism. So, books I would recommend for you to read if you haven't read is Science of Self-Realization. Right. So as I'm saying, I'm not going to stop and speak of the basics. I'm not going to explain what is spiritual communism. So Science of Self-Realization, Prabhupada discusses the spiritual communism. The ideas of spiritual communism, according to Srimad Bhagavatam, are based more or less on the oneness of the entire human society, the entire energy of living beings. The need is felt by great thinkers to make this a successful ideology. Srimad Bhagavatam will fill this need in human society. It begins, therefore, with an aphorism of Vedanta philosophy, Janmari Asya Yataha, to establish the ideal Bhavik common cause. So I expect the group that's here, I expect that you already know what is Vedanta philosophy. If you don't know, just make a note and find out what is Vedanta philosophy. Again, I'm not going to stop. All right. Human society at the present moment is not in the darkness of oblivion. It has made rapid progress in the fields of material comforts, education, and economic development throughout the entire world. But there is a pinprick somewhere in the social body at large, and therefore there are large-scale quarrels, even over less important issues. We don't have to talk about this, right? We are witnessing it. There is need of a clue as to how humanity can become one in peace, friendship, and prosperity with a common cause. Srimad Bhagavatam will fill this need, for it is a cultural representation for the re-spiritualization of the entire human society. Meaning Prabhupada is presenting this Bhagavatam and making it relevant to our lives. All right? So when we are studying the Srimad Bhagavatam, as we are taking down our points and what Prabhupada is speaking, we should find how is it relevant to my life. So it is a cultural presentation for the re-spiritualization of the entire human society. So remember that Srila Prabhupada is writing this during the Second World War. The Srimad Bhagavatam. This is during the Second World War. And right now we are in the same situation. We don't know whether there's going to be a Third World War. Srimad Bhagavatam should be introduced also in the schools and colleges, for it is recommended by the great student devotee Prahalad Maharaj in order to change the demoniac pace of society. So Prabhupada is saying right now, society is demoniac. Kamar acharat pragyo dharman bhagavatam iha durlabham manusham janma tadapi adruvam arthadam. Disparity in human society is due to lack of principles in a godless society, civilization. There is God or the Almighty One, from whom everything emanates, by whom everything is maintained, and in whom everything is merged to rest. Material science has tried to find the ultimate source of creation very insufficiently, but it is a fact that there is one ultimate source of everything that be. This ultimate source is explained rationally and authoritatively in the beautiful Bhagavatam or Srimad Bhagavatam. So what is the meaning of Srimad? Meaning of Srimad. Yes, start. Yes. Krishna, you want to tell us?
Mataji, can I answer?
Yes.
By the mercy of Srimati Radharani.
Oh, Prabhupada said it here. I will ask only question that's right there in your book. I'm reading. I want you to read. So Prabhupada gave the meaning of Srimad in this one line. What is the meaning of Srimad? Yes.
Beautiful.
Beautiful. All right. Srimad is beautiful. All right. Srimad. So now you know. Beautiful Bhagavatam. Srimati Radharani is most beautiful, right? So, beautiful Bhagavatam. Srimad Bhagavatam is the transcendental science, not only for knowing the ultimate source of everything, but also for knowing our relationship, our relation with Him. So that's our relation. Like I said, relationship that Prabhupada actually wrote, our relation with Him. How am I related? to him. Actually, those of you who are from UK, your English is first class. For me, I'm only kacha English, and I'm reading Bhagavatam. Yeah, so that's a good word. So I'll read it again. Srimad Bhagavatam is a transcendental science, not only for knowing the ultimate source of everything, but also for knowing our relation with him and our duty towards perfection of the human society on the basis of this perfect knowledge. Meaning that Srimad Bhagavatam is making us rediscover our relationship with Krishna and also with other human beings. All right? Relationship with Krishna and with human society. It is powerful reading matter in the Sanskrit language, and it is now rendered into English elaborately so that simply by careful reading, all that Prabhupada is saying, a careful reading. And that's what we want to do now, a careful reading. One will know God perfectly well, so much so that the reader will be sufficiently educated to defend himself from the onslaught of what? Atheists, yes. Atheists, right? So now we are on a deep journey. We are going to dive deep into this Srimad Bhagavatam. So Prabhupada is saying, careful reading. All right. So we may study only one canto, but if we do it thoroughly, Prabhupada is saying that we will be sufficiently educated to defend oneself from the onslaught of atheists. Over and above this, the reader will be able to convert others to accepting God as a concrete principle. I hope you're noting all these points. You know, Prabhupada is eloquent, extremely eloquent. He's saying so many things. He's giving the reason, the purpose, the aim of the Srimad Bhagavatam. Number one, to know our relationship with Krishna. Number two, know our duty towards human society. 3, we should be able to defend ourselves from the onslaught of atheists. And 4, we should be able to convert others to accept God as a concrete principle. Srimad Bhagavatam begins with the definition of the ultimate source. So now that itself is so huge, definition of the ultimate source. It is a bona fide commentary on the Vedanta Sutra by the same author, Srila Vyasadeva. And gradually it develops into 9 cantos up to the highest state of God realization. The only qualification one needs to study this great book of transcendental knowledge is to proceed step by step cautiously and not jump forward haphazardly as with an ordinary book. Okay, so I'll repeat because again, see, I'm saying it's very deep. It's difficult. It's not as easy as Bhagavad Gita. Because this is a PhD, you could say. Well, we say Chaitanya Charitamrita's PhD with this is nothing less. It's highly philosophical. So Prabhupada is speaking first. Vedanta Sutra. So already I said you should know what is Vedanta Sutra. What is Vedanta? What is Vedanta Sutra? And then Srila Prabhupada is saying that this Srimad Bhagavatam is a bona fide commentary on the Vedanta Sutra by who?
Vyasadeva, Srila Vyasadeva.
Srila Vyasadeva. And who Srila Vyasadeva?
He's the literary incarnation of Sri Krishna.
And I ask a question, it has to be from the paragraph.
He's the author of Vedanta Sutra.
Okay, be precise, all right? We are doing a careful reading here. Because I know we have so much information everywhere, like we want to study the book. All right? And I'm asking questions so that everybody's attentive. Right? It's very difficult to just listen, monotonous reading. All right. So just remember that I'm reading along with you. I've forgotten everything that I have read or heard. But I'm reading with you, so I'm revising along with all of you. Okay. So Prabhupada is saying that this Shrimad Bhagavatam will develop into 9 cantos up to the highest state of God realization. What is that highest stage? 9 cantos, then?
Leela, 10th canto.
I can't hear you,
Leela.
Shikala.
Krishna's Leela. 10th canto.
Cantos, then?
Krishna Leela.
Yes, Krishna Leela. Krishna Leela. Krishna Leela. Correct. All right. So this is where we come. So meaning 10th canto. So 9 canto. Then it comes the highest state of God realization. So the only qualification one needs to study this great book of transcendental knowledge. So Prabhupada is addressing Shrimad Bhagavatam as one book. All right, even though it is in so many cantos, but he's addressing it as one book. So the only qualification one needs to study this great book of transcendental knowledge to proceed step by step, cautiously and not jump forward haphazardly as with an ordinary book. So we don't just pick, something in the middle and read, of course, you will get the story at a time, but how to proceed, how to appreciate Krishna in the 10th cantos to be done step by step. It should be gone through chapter by chapter, one after another. See, Prabhupada is already guiding us how he wants us to study. Chapter by chapter, one after another. The reading matter is so arranged that the original Sanskrit text, its English transliteration, synonyms, translation, and purport, so that one is sure to become a God-realized soul at the end of finishing the first 9 cantos. See, Prabhupada is giving this assurance that if we go that way, proceed that way, step by step, chapter by chapter, careful reading, Prabhupada is saying, we will become God realized. The 10th canto is distinct from the first 9 cantos because it deals directly with the transcendental activities of personal Godhead Shri Krishna. One will be unable to capture the effects of the 10th canto without going through the first 9 cantos. The book is complete in 12 cantos, each independent, but it is good for all to read them in small installments, one after another. All right, see, this is what we are doing right now. Prabhupada has told us what to do and we are doing it. I must admit my frailties in presenting Shrimad Bhagavatam, but still I'm hopeful of its good reception by the thinkers and leaders of society on this from the following statement of Shrimad Bhagavatam 1.5.11. That Vishargo Janata Viplavo Yasmin Pratishno Kamabhavatyapi Namna Nyanantasya Yashun Pitani Jaj Shrinvanti gayanti grinhanti sadhavaha. On the other hand, that literature which is full of descriptions of the transcendental glories of the name, fame, form, and pastimes of the unlimited Supreme Lord is a transcendental creation meant for bringing about a revolution in the impious life of a misdirected civilization. Such transcendental literature, even though irregularly composed, is heard, sung, and accepted by purified men who are thoroughly honest. Om Tat Sat. A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami. How do you feel reading this? How do you feel reading this? Tell me. Dhanushmati, how do you feel reading this?
It's different from the Gita, very different. There are
Right.
shlokas, na? One shlokas. This is actually like a commentary only, how you mentioned, no, in the beginning.
Right. So let
Very
us
different
be,
from the Gita.
yeah. So let us be ready for it. All right. So whoever I'm seeing on my screen will read one paragraph. Right. Just be attentive when I have something to say. Okay, Amalaji.
Hare Krishna, Mataji.
You can read. Read
Oh, yes.
the preface. Sorry, forward.
Forward.
Forward, yeah.
Okay.
We are going to spend quite some time reading this introduction, forward and introduction. And we are not going to run ahead. All right, forward.
Hare Krishna. Forward. This Bhagavata Purana is as brilliant as the sun, and it has arisen just after the departure of Lord Krishna to his own abode, accompanied by religion, knowledge, etc. Persons who have lost their vision due to the dense darkness of ignorance in the age of Kali shall get light from this Purana. Srimad Bhagavatam 1.3.43. The timeless wisdom of India is expressed in the Vedas, ancient Sanskrit texts that touch upon all fields of human knowledge. Originally preserved through oral tradition, the Vedas were first put into writing 5,000 years ago by Srila Vyasadeva, the literary incarnation of God. After compiling the Vedas, Vyasadeva set forth their essence in the aphorisms known as Vedanta Sutras. Srimad Bhagavatam, also known Bhagavata Purana, is Vyasadeva's commentary on his own Vedanta Sutras. It was written in the maturity of his spiritual life under the direction of Narada Muni, his spiritual master. Referred to as the ripened fruit of the tree of Vedic literature, Srimad Bhagavatam is the most complete and authoritative exposition of Vedic knowledge.
So I expect that you know. So just write down what we need to know. You need to know what are the Vedas, what are the Upanishads, and what are the Puranas. And you need to know what is the position of Srimad Bhagavatam. So in this short paragraph here, so this is given. And as we study the purport, Prabhupada's purport, it's going to be discussed. It will come up again and again, but so that you're not completely lost. So just get to know what are these Vedic literatures. And the conclusion here that Srimad Bhagavatam is the most complete, the ripened fruit of the tree of Vedic literature, and the most complete and authoritative exposition of Vedic knowledge. Yes. Continue.
After compiling the Bhagavatam, Vyasa imparted the synopsis of it to his son, the sage Shukadeva Goswami. Shukadeva Goswami subsequently recited the entire Bhagavatam to Maharaj Parikshit in an assembly of learned saints on the bank of the Ganges at Hastinapur, now Delhi. Maharaj Parikshit was the emperor of the world and was a great Rajarishi, saintly king. Having received a warning that he would die within a week, he renounced his entire kingdom and retired to the bank of the Ganges to fast until death and receive spiritual enlightenment. The Bhagavatam begins with Emperor Parikshit's sober inquiry to Shukadeva Goswami. You are the spiritual master of great saints and devotees. I am therefore begging you to show the way of perfection for all persons, and especially for one who is about to die. Please let me know what a man should hear, chant, remember, and worship, and also what he should not do. Please explain all this to me.
So this is the storyline. So how Srimad Bhagavatam came to be spoken. Yes, Usha, you like to read? Are you able to read?
Yeah, I'm sorry, but in my book, I don't find the preface. I've only got introduction after the preface.
Are you prepared to read? I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you.
Is that right? It says after the preface that you read, I've only got introduction in my book. I don't have what you've just read.
Is it? Oh my God, the
Yes,
forward is not there.
Mataji. Mataji, even in a Veda base, which I'm seeing, there is no forward. We just have preface and introduction.
Okay, Anupama, there's forward in your read too. Oh my God, they're making it small.
I don't.
All right, Anupama, read, sir. How can we remove this
There's
forward?
no forward. I've got forward. Huh?
Anupama, you have forward
Sorry,
in your book?
in my
Yes,
book.
I don't
There's
have.
no forward.
I don't have. I have the forward. Do you want me to?
Yeah,
I don't
let
have the
Anupama read, I will come down, okay? Yeah, Anupama, just read, Madhavi.
Sukadeva Goswami's answer to this question and numerous other questions posed by Maharaj Parikshit concerning everything from the nature of the self to the origin of the universe held the assembled sages in rapt attention continuously for the 7 days leading up to the king's death. The sage Suta Goswami, who was present in that assembly when Sukdev Goswami first recited Srimad Bhagavatam, later repeated the Bhagavatam before a gathering of sages in the forest of Naimisharanya. Those sages concerned about the spiritual welfare of the people in general had gathered to perform a long, continuous chain of sacrifices to counteract the degrading influence of the incipient age of Kali. In response to the sage's request that he speak the essence of Vedic wisdom, Suta Goswami repeated from memory the entire 18,000 verses of Srimad Bhagavatam as spoken by Sukadev Goswami to Maharaj Parikshit.
All right, so how many verses are there in Srimad Bhagavatam?
18,000.
18,000.
18,000.
Okay, we can know this. Yeah, okay. Bhanuji, do you have the forward in your book?
No, I don't. I'm
Okay,
same as
Rakshita, you have?
Yes, I do. Would you like?
Okay.
Okay. The reader of Srimad Bhagavatam hears Sutta Goswami relate the questions of Maharaj Parasit and the answers of Sukadeva Goswami. Also, Sutta Goswami sometimes responds directly to questions, but by Sunak Rishi, the spokesman for the sages gathered by Nimisharayana. One therefore simultaneously hears two dialogues, one between Maharaj Parasid and Sukadeva Goswami on the banks of the Ganges, and another by Naimisarana between Sukadeva Goswami, Sutta Goswami and the sages, and Nimisarayana forest, headed by Sunuk Rishi. Furthermore, while instructing King Parasit, Sukadeva Goswami often relates historical episodes and gives amounts of lengthy philosophical discussions between such great souls as Narad Muni and Vasudeva. With this understanding of the history of Bhagavatam, the reader will easily be able to follow its intermingling of dialogues and events from various sources. Since philosophical wisdom, not chronological order, is most important in the text, one need only be attentive to the subject matter of Srimad Bhagavatam to appreciate fully its profound message.
So how Srimad Bhagavatam is composed? So this is Shukdev Goswami who's answering the question of Maharaj Parikshit. And in that assembly was also Sutta Goswami. So Sutta Goswami, he heard the conversation between Maharaj Parikshit and Shukdev Goswami. And then later in Nemi Sharanya, Shunaka Rishi was asking question to Sutta Goswami. And Sutta Goswami was relating what he had heard from Shukadev Goswami and Parikshit Maharaj. So this is how, this is how the dialogues are going. See, like we are following the same process here. This is the Guru Parampara. It's question and answers. Right? So Shukdev Goswami, so number one, there has to be questions. If there's no inquiry, there is no answer. Right? So that's why nobody can just speak without questions. All right?
Yeah.
Unless there is question, there is no learning. So then Prabhupada is saying that this Srimad Bhagavatam, it is not composed, it's a history, but doesn't go in chronological order. Rather, events are given in order to teach us something. So this is more important than the chronological order. All right. Rashmi, you have forward in your book? No.
I don't
No,
have.
I don't know the name. 189. What's your name again?
Sorry, name's Kailash, but I don't have the book. My apologies.
Kailash. Oh, you don't
Yeah.
have the book. Okay. Anupama Mishra, you have the book. My God, so many Ashwini, you don't have. Who has them?
Hare Krishna Mataji Ranat Ram. I do have forward in my book. Can
You
I
have
read?
the forward? Yeah, please.
The translator of this edition compared the Bhagavatam to sugar candy. Whenever you taste it, you will find it equally sweet and delicious. Therefore, to taste the sweetness of the Bhagavatam, one may begin by reading any of its volumes. After such an introductory taste, however, this serious reader is best advised to go back to the first canto and then proceed through the Bhagavatam, canto after canto. It is natural order. This edition of the Bhagavatam is the first complete English translation of this important text with an elaborate commentary, and it is the first widely available to the English-speaking public. The first 12 volumes, Canto 1 through Canto 10, Part 1, are the product of the scholarly and devotional efforts of His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, the founder Acharya of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness and the world's most distinguished teacher of Indian religious and philosophical thought. His consummate Sanskrit scholarship and intimate familiarity with Vedic culture and thought, as well as the modern way of life, combined to reveal to the West a magnificent exposition of the important classic. After the departure of Srila Prabhupada from the world in 1977, his monumental work of translating and annotating Srimad Bhagavatam has been continued by his disciple Haridanand Das Goswami and Gopi Pradhan Das. Readers will find this work of value for many reasons. For those interested in the classical roots of Indian civilization, it serves as a vast reservoir of detailed information on virtually every one of its aspects. For students of comparative philosophy and religion, the Bhagavatam offers a penetrating view into the meaning of India's profound spiritual heritage. the sociologist and the anthropologist, the Bhagavatam reveals the practical working of a peaceful and scientifically organized Vedic culture, whose institutions were integrated on the basis of a highly developed spiritual worldview. Student of literature will discover the Bhagavatam to be a masterpiece of majestic poetry. For students of psychology, the text provides important perspectives on the nature of consciousness, human behavior, and the philosophical study of identity. Finally, to those seeking spiritual insight, the Bhagavatam offers simple and practical guidance for entertainment of the high self-knowledge,
Attainment.
attainment of the high self-knowledge and realization of the absolute. The entire multi-volume text presented by the Bhaktivedanta Book Trust promises to occupy a significant place in the intellectual, cultural, and spiritual life of modern man for a long time to come.
It's from the publishers. Right. So we have some time. So, okay, we'll start the introduction. So again, as I said before, please, see this pen and paper is so important in order to keep your attention. Otherwise, so easy for the attention to slip away. Right. Especially since I have no other tool except, speaking and your hearing. So now we are going to get into Srimad Bhagavatam. It is an introduction, but it is still very philosophical. But then there's going to be a history. Srila Prabhupada is going to give the history of Lord Chaitanya's life, which we are going to read. And that will take us quite a few sessions of reading. Okay, now who wants to read? Who didn't read? Ashwini, you want to read? Introduction.
Yeah, I'll read, Mataji. Thank you so much. Introduction. Yeah. The conception of God and the conception of absolute truth are not on the same level. The Srimad Bhagavatam hits on the target of absolute truth. The concept of God indicates the controller, whereas the conception of the absolute truth indicates the summum bonum, or the ultimate source of all energies. There is no difference of opinion about the personal feature of God as the controller, because a controller cannot be impersonal. Of course, modern government, especially democratic government, is impersonal to some extent, but ultimately the chief executive head is a person. The impersonal feature of government is subordinate to the personal feature. So without a doubt, whenever we refer to control over others, we must admit the existence of the personal feature. Because there are different controllers for different managerial positions, there may be many small gods. According to Bhagavad Gita, any controller who has some specific extraordinary power is called a Vibhutimat Sattva. Vibhutimat Sattva, or controller empowered by the Lord. There are many Vibhutimat Sattvas, controller of gods, with various specific powers, but the absolute truth is one without a second. This Srimad Bhagavatam designates the absolute truth or the Saman Gunam as the Param Satyam.
All right. Okay, so this first paragraph. Okay. So I have to speak. Again, I'm saying, please have pen and paper, make your own drawings, whatever. Okay? So Prabhupada is distinguishing between God and absolute truth. Right? So he's saying that the general conception of God is impersonal. And he gave the example of a government that is impersonal. But behind the government, even though when we look at it, it's impersonal, but actually there are government officials and they are persons. So this conception of absolute truth, Prabhupada is saying first, it's not just being the controller. We define God as a controller, just like we define the government as that body that controls the country. So here the conception of God indicates the controller, whereas the conception of the absolute truth, Param Satyam. So please write down. Param Satyam is the absolute truth in English language, or the summum bonum. I think that's Latin word. Summum bonum, the absolute truth. Sanskrit Param Satyam, the ultimate truth. So this Param Satyam has personality and he has energies. Personality meaning person himself, a God. Usually when I speak of God, so we are thinking he's the controller and he is impersonal and he's one only, whereas the absolute truth is saying that he's the ultimate source of all Shaktis. For example, this material creation, this is a Shakti of the Lord. He has his pastime. This is the Leela Shakti of the Lord. He has the Maya Shakti, the Maya which covers the living entity. He's got Kala, Kala which allows everything to happen in this world. This is a Shakti, Kala Shakti. So when we speak of absolute truth, Ram Satyam, we are speaking not just of a God who is a controller, but someone from whom everything emanates and in whom everything rests. And it is not just one entity as such, but is multiple with his energies. That one. Okay, continue, Ashwini.
Yeah. The author of Srimad Bhagavatam, Srila Vyasadeva, first offers his respectful obeisances unto the Param Satyam, absolute truth. And because the Param Satyam is the ultimate source of all energies, the Param Satyam is the supreme person. The gods or the controllers are undoubtedly persons, but the Param Satyam from whom the gods derive powers of control is the supreme person. The Sanskrit word Ishvara, controller, conveys the import of God, but the supreme person is called the Parameshwara or the supreme Ishwar. The Supreme Person or Parameshwar is the supreme conscious personality, and because he does not derive any power from any other source, he is the supremely independent. In the Vedic literatures, Brahma is described as the supreme god or the head of all other gods like Indra, Chandra, and Varun. But the Srimad Bhagavatam confirms that even Brahma is not independent as far as his power and knowledge are concerned. He received knowledge in the form of the Vedas from the Supreme Person who resides within the heart of every living being. That Supreme Personality knows everything directly and indirectly. Individual infinitesimal persons who are parts and parcels of the Supreme Personality may know directly and indirectly everything about their bodies or external features. But the Supreme Personality knows everything about both his external and internal features.
Yes, okay. So now again, Prabhupada is now defining this Satyam, Param Satyam. So he's the ultimate source of all energies. I have given you examples of the energies. And he's the controller of all controllers, meaning there are so many Ishvara, so many Devas. But this Param Satyam is the controller of all these devas. And then he's conscious. He's not just conscious, but he's the supreme conscious personality. He's independent. He doesn't derive his power from any other source. So he's Swarat. He's independent. Yeah. So Lord Brahma, so actually this paragraph here is of Srimad Bhagavatam. Prabhupada phrasing this. You're going to read this again from the very shloka of Bhagavatam. Prabhupada, you should understand one thing. Prabhupada didn't write as such. He didn't write. What he did, he made a compilation. He's such a genius. He's super genius. He has taken the entire Vedic literature and written it in English language. And he has put it together so seamlessly that you would think that he's writing. But when you start to study Bhagavatam and you studied Bhagavad Gita, you say, oh, this is just a shloka from Bhagavad Gita. This is from this Purana, this is from this book, and he has put everything to the purpose. This is what he has done. He hasn't actually anything done. Srila Prabhupada's books are so potent because he didn't write. It's flowing, it's just flowing. And then he made it relevant. Made it relevant to the modern society. So sometimes the language is modern. So now Prabhupada, so this paragraph simply a paraphrasing of the first text of Srimad Bhagavatam. And Prabhupada is saying, Brahma Adi Kavaye. So I know the word, so that's why I'm identifying here. Brahma Adi Kavaye. He's the first receiver of the knowledge of the Vedas. And how was it revealed? It was revealed through the heart. So the Supreme Lord knows everything directly, meaning that from his own personal perception or through perception, through the perception of others. For example, I mean, it's amazing. It's truly amazing. The Supreme Lord is in our heart. And we, the Jiva, we want to experience something. And when we are experiencing this, the Supreme Lord who is in our heart, who is allowing us to have that experience, he's also experiencing what we want to experience. So therefore, indirectly. Indirectly. All right. So the individual infinitesimal persons. So this is the Jeev. This Jeev, they are parts and parcel of the Supreme Personality. Parts and parcel, meaning that this Supreme Lord is one. So imagine a cloth. Right? Imagine a cloth. So this is one cloth. But that cloth has, so let's say, on that cloth, let's say you have a motif, like a beads, let's say bead. You have placed a motif of beads. So that beadwork is part of the cloth. All right? It's part of the cloth. At the same time, it is an entity in itself. That's the parcel. All right? So the Jiva are part and parcel of the Supreme Lord. Okay, so the Jiva is aware only about their own bodies, but the Supreme Lord knows them, everything about them, both internally and externally. Yes. Anupama, you have a question?
No, Mataji, you mentioned na, that we have to stop on time because there's another class. So I was.
Yeah. I'm just trying to finish this so that we don't have 10 minutes more. I'm just trying to finish this. Okay, who wants to read? Fatafat, fast. I want to finish it. Okay, Anupama Mishra.
Hare Krishna. The words Janmadi Asya suggest that the source of all production, maintenance, or destruction is the same supreme conscious person. Even in our present experience, we can know that nothing is generated from inert matter, but inert matter can be generated from the living entity. For instance, by contact with the living entity, the material body develops into a working machine. Men with a poor fund of knowledge mistake the bodily machinery to be the living being, but the fact is that the living being is the basis of the bodily machine. The bodily machine is useless as soon as the living spark is away from it. Similarly, the original source of all material energy is the Supreme Person. This fact is expressed in all Vedic literatures, and all the exponents of spiritual science have accepted this truth. The living force is called Brahman, and one of the greatest acharyas, teachers, namely Sripad Shankaracharya, has preached that Brahman is substance whereas the cosmic world is category. The original source of all energies is the living force, and he is logically accepted as the Supreme Person. He is therefore conscious of everything past, present, and future, and also of each and every corner of his manifestations, both material and spiritual. An imperfect living being does not even know what is happening within his own personal body. He eats his food but does not know how this food is transformed into energy or how it sustains his body. When a living being is perfect, he is aware of everything that happens. And since the Supreme Person is all perfect, it is quite natural that he knows everything in all detail. Consequently, the perfect personality is addressed in the Srimad Bhagavatam as Vasudev, or one who lives everywhere in full consciousness and in full possession of his complete energy. All of this is clearly explained in the Srimad Bhagavatam, and the reader has ample opportunity to study this critically.
So here it comes the point about Jiva, the living being, and the Supreme Lord, who is in essence Brahman. See, don't worry about this. Prabhupada is throughout this Bhagavatam, he will explain in great detail, purport by purport. So we will cover this again. As I'm saying, this is just paraphrasing the text one of Srimad Bhagavatam. Yes, continue.
In the modern age, Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu preached the Srimad Bhagavatam by practical demonstration. It is easier to penetrate into the topics of Srimad Bhagavatam through the medium of Sri Chaitanya's causeless mercy. Therefore, a short sketch of his life and precepts is inserted herein to help the reader understand the real merit of Srimad Bhagavatam. It is imperative that one learn the Srimad Bhagavatam from the person Bhagavatam. The person Bhagavatam is one whose very life is Srimad Bhagavatam in practice. Since Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is the absolute personality of Godhead, he is both Bhagavan and Bhagavatam in person and in sound. Therefore, his process of approaching the Srimad Bhagavatam is practical for all people of the world. It was his wish that the Srimad Bhagavatam be preached in every nook and corner of the world by those who happen to take their birth in India.
The Srimad Bhagavatam is the science of Krishna, the absolute personality of Godhead, of whom we have preliminary information from the text of the Bhagavad Gita. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has said that anyone, regardless of what he is, who is well versed in the science of Krishna, Srimad Bhagavatam, and Bhagavad Gita, can become an authorized preacher or preceptor in the science of Krishna. There is a need for the science of Krishna in human society for the good of all suffering humanity of the world, and we simply request the leaders of all nations to pick up this science of Krishna for their own good, for the good of society, and for the good of the world's people, of all the world's people.
Yes. All right, all right. So, it was intense, is it? After Bhagavad Gita, this is intense.
Very intense, Mother. Yes. Very overwhelming.
Yeah. All right. So thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you, Mataji. Thank you so much.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna.
Thank you so
So
much.
we meet next Saturday,
Hare
same
Krishna,
time,
Mataji.
6 o'clock.
Hare
Thank
Krishna,
you.
Mataji.
Thank you
Hare
so
Krishna.
much. Thank you so much, Mataji.
Hare Bol.
Panchakalpatarubhyascha kripasindhubhyev cha
Nam Pavane Vaishnaveभ्यो नमो नमः।
अनंत कोटि वैष्णव
Namaste.